Hello, it's Pastor Penny, and it is Monday of Holy Week, and I hope you all had a happy Palm Sunday. And I'm just wearing this mask for a second to remind you that we're all supposed to have masks now. And so I got reacquainted with my very, very old sewing machine, and I think we're friends now. And I made a couple, but there we go. But I'm very slow at sewing, and so I will not be mass producing them. So, since it's Holy Week, I am going to look at the lectionary every day. I'm going to look at the verses. The lectionary is um, uh, the verses that um, are assigned to this particular day. Um, and so today's was interesting. It was the story of um, Jesus coming to dinner. First, he came to Bethany, and that's where Martha and Mary and their brother Lazarus lived, if you remember the story. Um, and so they said, Jesus, come to dinner. And it was in his honor. Um, so that's chapter 12 in John. In chapter 11, you may remember the story about Lazarus dying, and Martha and Mary got word to Jesus, who was out of town, and said, "Hurry, come. We know you're the Messiah. We know you're Son of God, and you can keep Lazarus from dying." Um, so Jesus got the message, but he said, "Oh, he stayed 2 more days wherever he was, and didn't worry about it." And when he finally got back, um, Lazarus was dead. He was wrapped in his um, linens, and he was in the tomb. And the sisters were heartbroken and said, "Why didn't you come, Jesus?" And they were so upset that they really touched Jesus. And it's the shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. Wait, I think I've lost you. There, I'm back. And so, but so he says, "Lazarus, come out," and Lazarus does. They push the rock aside from his tomb, and he comes out, and he's wrapped all in linens. And I just saw a cartoon where Martha and Mary see Lazarus coming out, wrapped head to toe, and said, "Oh, that's where all the toilet paper went." So I had to get a little a little joke in there. Um, so now it's later, and Jesus has been out of town again, and he comes and has dinner with them. And it's I started reading about about today in Holy Week, and some cultures call it Holy Monday, and it's just there's a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of um, things that will lead up to Jesus' death. And I want to show you. It turns out that last Saturday, like 2 days ago, was Lazarus Saturday in some cultures. Um, the day that he was supposed to have died. So here, if you can see it, is Lazarus coming out of the tomb. Um, that is from the 15th century, the raising of Lazarus. Um, and then the other interesting thing I thought was um, on Lazarus Saturday, a very long time ago in some cultures, hermits, especially in Russia. would come out of their place in the desert or in a cave, that was the day that they would come back to the monastery for Holy Week services on Lazarus Saturday. And here is bread, a lazarikia. Of course, I can't say it, but that's a loaf of bread, and it's supposed to look like Lazarus. Um, and then one more, Lazarus Saturday in Bulgaria. And so there are all kinds of customs that are, I think, uh, pretty interesting. So, um, so anyway, back to the story of um, Jesus having dinner with Martha and Mary and Lazarus. Apparently, the disciples were there too because Judas says they wash his feet. Mary and Martha wash his feet or put expensive perfume on it, and then they wipe it with their hair. I think no, just Mary does that. Anyway, Judas says that is really expensive. You should be selling that to get the money. And Jesus rebukes him and says, um, the poor will always be there, but I will not be here much longer. Um, and then the verses say that Judas usually embezzled the money from the treasury anyway. So we're seeing some foreshadowing there about Judas and his betrayal. So I'll be looking at the lectionary stories and texts this week. And so I hope you'll stick with me. And on Thursday, we're going to have a communion, a Holy Thursday communion service. And I hope you will make a place in your home, a little communion table with and think about getting some juice or using whatever you have, wine will work, and some bread or crackers and we won't be able to see each other, but we can take communion together on Thursday. And I'm thinking 2 o'clock might be a good time since everybody's at home. So thanks for being with me today, and I will see you soon.